since I was 16. I'm 42. I'll be 42 next Friday. Now, in that entire time, maybe 2 years, right? And I was in trouble. I got in trouble and I was forced to stop. Right? I didn't choose to stop. I ain't never choose to stop smoking. Right? I don't know what it's like to be an adult and be sober other than that time frame. And that's the one thing that I tell my kids, like, you got to be able to know what yourself is like without that. And when you introduce to that at such an early age, and it is your thing, it is your vice, you feel me, right? Like, it stick to you. And when you get to a situation, especially when you young, you get to a situation that's like, you got this $50 light bill and you down to your last gram and a half. You like, man, look, I'm gonna find a way to pay this light bill later. I'm gonna make sure I got something to smoke. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna make sure that you got something to smoke. That's gonna put you in some certain situations that you probably would not have been in if you had the control to just be like, hey, yo, look, I'm just not gonna do this.
Where are my rose-colored pearls?
I don't know. That was a long time ago, Grandma. When I was on the rock, I gave that up.
Like you did them pearls.
Some of us came from Coastside Cavalry. Some people stand up and rise. Some people sit and cry.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. It's been a minute. I got a lot going on. But subscribe or die trying. Title is Stay Young and Sober. Like the brother was talking about in that clip. Sometimes, y'all, when you're young, you don't understand this part. Don't get advice when you're young because it's going to be normalized to you. And then you're going to be stuck with it when you're old. And a lot of times, when you're young and you're in a rush to be an adult, they have certain adults around you that will introduce you to things like, yeah, this is a milestone. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know, because they don't tell you the other side. You introduce kids to alcohol when they're young, then they become adult alcoholics, and those same people ain't gonna be around when you got DUIs. They're not gonna be around when you get yourself in trouble. You get what I'm saying? They're not gonna be around when it starts ruining your adult life. They're not gonna be there. It's not gonna be fun then. You know, same thing he was talking about with the getting high thing. That's that decision making. I know it all too well. You got something important going on, and I gotta smoke. I gotta, I gotta relax my mind. You ain't doing nothing because you getting high all the time. You don't need a relaxed mind because you high all the time. What you need is to get up off your behind and do something. To the point where some of y'all know, you know, you got coworkers, an adult, as an adult, you got coworkers high at work early in the morning. You're like, you got high and you came to work and you smell like you got high. And you smoking that much that you don't get it. That, huh? I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, you gonna understand it when you fired though. You gonna understand it when they random drug test you next tomorrow because you was high today. You gonna understand it then when you go, man, I ain't got a job. You know what I'm saying? How am I gonna pay my bills? Well, you know what I need to do before that? I need to smoke. It's like that's your problem. So stay young and sober. I tell you the same thing about sex. There's nothing wrong with waiting until you get a little older to have sex. People started having sex at like 12 years old or be teenagers, and then you don't realize it, but they got an issue as an adult. And because they started so early with sex, it becomes, oh, I got to do it, I got to do it, to the point where, why you not wearing condoms? Oh, I got to do it. Okay. So that's why you get them. So that's why you get them STDs, because I just got to do it. I got to do it. I enjoy the feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you can say that the people who they felt like they're young, and then they had 5, 6 kids, and then they 35 and 40, and they're like, man, what was I doing? I don't even know. This has ruined my life. I'm working 15, 16 hours a day to pay for all these kids and all this stuff because I just couldn't go I could not just have sex all the time. You ruin relationships. You broke trust because I just got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it. You do that first, and then the consequences come later, and then it's like, oh, that's what they meant. I thought people was trying to hate on me. Okay, all right, that's what you think. Some of y'all get they introduce you to rebelliousness and criminality at an early age, and it's fun. Oh, you stealing stuff, and the next thing you know, you out in the streets, and the next thing you know, you 35 years old, and you trying to, I don't know, I hustle. No, you don't hustle. You grown. Basically, now you stuck scamming for your adult life because you don't know how to actually, follow the rules of life. And I gotta say it this way for the criminality part. Mugs will tell you like they can't work a job, but they in prison working for 6 cents a day. You know, they ain't gotta follow no rules, but they in the cell with somebody like, look, sit down when you pee, dog. You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing it clean. This, we gonna keep this cell clean. The guards gonna do this, do that, and you can follow instructions in jail. You can work in jail, but when you're free, you got an issue. That's where the stupidity of it comes from. And then people got to be in a situation to go, oh, I'm just so used to doing the stupid stuff. It didn't ever dawned on me. It's like, yeah, man, that's the problem. That people get you advice when you're young, but they don't tell you how it ends. Gambling. And people who tell you, man, when I was young, we used to play, we was at school, we shot dice in the bathroom. Yep. And because you was gambling and you had a gambling, you started gambling early, you was bad with money early. You always wanted to double and triple and quadruple it. Look, man, I done seen people get a refund check, a refund check from college, tuitions, loans or whatever, blow it at the casino trying to make money. I seen people, you know, man, I'm gonna pay. I ain't gotta pay my rent. I'm gonna hit a lick. Okay, okay. I know people who figured they was gonna come up and lost 7 figures because I just can't. The exhilaration of the gamble. Yeah, it's exhilaration when you're winning, but you lose most of the time. You don't know how to back away. That's why these guys out here trying to get parlay. Let me parlay. Let me parlay. Let me parlay. Let me parlay. Okay. Yeah. See, all I need tonight is a player nobody ever heard of to go for 250. A superstar, to get, do a superstar thing, you know, and a coach to sub into the game and get a 1 yard rush or better. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna come up, and it's like, shut the what did you spend that? Why didn't you use that money for something realistic? Hey man, I gotta hit a lick and come up, man. I'm gonna give me a car. It's like, okay, same thing when I say stay sober. Um, that's the thing. Stay sober from materialism too. You know, you get that bug when you're young too. People tell you, "Oh, I got these shoes and I got this clothes, I got that outfit," and then you turn into adults. And I gotta have this, and I gotta have this, and I gotta have this, and I gotta have that, because I gotta be important. Because if you don't have these things, you are nobody, and I'm not a nobody. So I buy all this stuff, and you see these fools going broke all the time, trying to be fly. The outfit's nice, the car's nice, the house is nice, but the debt gonna have you, ready to jump off a bridge because you got addicted to materialism. So stay sober, and I reiterate to stay sober for this reason. When you're young, man, if you can, back up from those things and just be a kid first, be a teenager, you know, by the time you hit adulthood, you're gonna really know what you like and what you don't like. You know, I said myself, first time I had sex, I was 20. You know, parents were teenage parents. I ain't want to, you know, be a teenage parent. So 20. First time I drank alcohol, 20 something. You know what I'm saying? 20 something. Um, my friend dared me to smoke weed. I was probably 24. Um, all the criminality stuff. I grew up, you know, around cocaine and gambling, and you know, so I saw how people were enjoying the highs, but the lows, the alcoholism. I saw that. So, like the lows was just like, nah, I don't want that. You get what I'm saying? Materialism. I saw how people really lost it in materialism to the point where I look good, but my wallet is empty. My bank account is shot, but I look good. It's like, nah, I don't want that. G, I don't want that. You know, not I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know, you know what I'm saying. It's not. Cause you, but when you're young, I've seen the people young. Because you're young and I'm grown. I want to be grown. I want to be grown. I want to show everybody that I'm an adult and I'm mature. So I'm doing these quote unquote adult things, and I've seen too many times where what you did, the vices you got. Let's just let, the vices you got from eighth grade to your senior year in high school, your eighth grade to quote unquote, yeah, I give you that eighth grade to let's just say your sophomore year in college age, still holding on to people. They grown in the mug, still I'm fighting demons. Nah, mm-mm, mm-mm. Because you weren't young and sober. Because like I should have said it this way: the first time I took a drink, it wasn't a big deal. I didn't get a euphoria. The first time uh, I smoked, that was the last time I smoked. I didn't I didn't feel a thing, and I was like, that's not no, I'm good. Um, sex thing, of course, I kept doing that, but I wasn't like, oh, I gotta go raw. I gotta do it this way and that way. I was like, you know, I gotta do it safe. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen people with a bunch of kids. I've seen people, you know, how can I say this? STDs. I've seen, you know, people have died of AIDS when I was a kid. It ain't that damn important. It's good, but it ain't good enough to risk your life. Like that's what I mean in a general sense. You know, stay sober because you're gonna find out all of this stuff is not worth risking your life. Sometimes I should have brought up thrill seekers. You know, people got into that thrill seeking mode, adrenaline junkies. They got addicted to that. Yeah, I've seen them. Speed junkies, wreck cars, get SR22s. If y'all don't know, like basically, you know, you got to pay like a $10,000 fine, and your license kind of could be suspended. You know, your insurance goes through the roof. You know, I've seen that. I've seen the people. Oh, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I like to get in fights. Yeah. Now you got stabbed in the face. You got shot. You know, I gotta have excitement. That excitement comes with consequences, and it ain't exciting no more when everything goes left. So, I've seen when it goes left, the same people that's excited and adrenaline junkie, they crying and bawling tears and begging God and praying and, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't understand. No, because they don't ever tell you the other side of all of this excitement. Oh, and since I'm going on, y'all gonna have kids, and y'all kids gonna watch these vices and go, ah. Some of y'all kids like, oh, I love that. They gonna learn to hate it, and the other kids gonna be like, never, never, I'm never doing this. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about because I hate to say this, but a lot of people have quote unquote trauma and scars because they realized their parents had a vice that was more important than them, and they watched how that vice had a hold on them, and has a hold on them. It's like that vice was more important than parenting. So I'm gonna leave it at that now. Tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.